why, but you just feel a little bit sad about it afterward.
Yeah, yeah, exactly like that. And that's kind of what we're going to be diving into today. So looking at a character, a fictional character from a novel.
Oh, cool. Which one?
So the book is The Ambitious Tom Smith by M.R. Abdullah. Have you heard of it?
I have. Yeah, it's a pretty popular book.
Yeah, it is. And we're not going to be talking about the whole thing or anything, just a super short passage from it, like just from page 30.
Okay, so what's so special about page 30? What's going on there?
Well, it's just this one little part, but it's pretty intense.
All right, you got to tell me more. Set it up for me.
Okay. So basically the setup is this. Tom, the main character, he's about to divorce his wife. And okay, divorce happens, right?
Yeah.
But there's this whole other layer to it because, well, the title of the book is The Ambitious Tom Smith. So you kind of get the sense he's on this trajectory to do something big in his life.
Right. Like he's driven, he's going places. So where does the sadness come in?
Well, yeah, that's just it. You'd kind of expect a guy like that, ambitious Tom, to be super sure of himself, right? Like eyes on the prize, no regrets. But the thing is, the passage, it actually mentions him feeling sad about the whole divorce thing. And get this, he doesn't even seem to know why he's sad. I don't know, does that seem kind of believable to you?
Yeah, totally. I think we've all been there with any kind of big decision. Sometimes you just feel a little off. You just don't feel quite right, and you don't know why.
Right. Your head's telling you one thing, but there's this nagging feeling you can't quite place.
Yeah.
So is that just normal human stuff, or is there something deeper going on here?
I mean, it's definitely a human thing to feel conflicted. But I think with Tom, it's hitting on something more. Think about archetypes in literature. These are classic character models we see again and again, And Tom, he fits the ambitious go-getter archetype perfectly. He's got that classic drive.
Yeah, okay, but if he fits the model so well, why is he so torn up about this?
See, that's what Abdullah, the author, is doing here. He's taking this archetype, this, kind of one-dimensional character type, and he's adding layers to him. Mm-hmm. He's suggesting there's more to Tom than meets the eye. The ambition is there, but so is this sadness he can't explain. It could be guilt, maybe, about leaving his wife. Or it could be even deeper than that, Maybe a fear of ending up alone, or even some kind of subconscious attachment to his wharf he hasn't really dealt with.
And the thing is, we're only getting Tom's side of the story here, right? What about his wife? What if we could hear her perspective? I mean, there's got to be two sides to whatever went down between them that led to this. It's always like that, right? There's always more to the story than just one viewpoint.
Oh, absolutely. Just like in real life, right? Any situation, any conflict, there's going to be different perspectives on it. And who's to say which one is the right one? It's all part of the complexity of being human. And I think that's part of what makes this passage so thought-provoking. It's pushing us to think beyond the surface, to consider all the different angles.
And this is just, a single paragraph, right?
Right.
From a much larger story, so much depth in such a small space.
Exactly. And it gets us thinking about some really big, almost universal questions, too. It makes me wonder, is there a connection between ambition and, personal sacrifice? Is it even possible to achieve great things without giving something up?
Yeah, interesting. So, is that just part of the deal? You want to reach those high goals, got to make some tough calls. Are we all kind of destined to be a little bit sad no matter what we do?
I mean, it's a question a lot of people wrestle with, right? Throughout history, you see examples of people who achieved incredible things, but often at a personal cost. Think about Steve Jobs. I mean, the guy was a visionary, revolutionized technology. But there are also stories about, difficulties he had in his personal relationships, strained family ties, maybe all that drive, that single-minded focus, it comes with a price.
It makes sense in a way, right? You pour so much of yourself into one area of your life, something's got to give.
Yeah.
Can you really be super ambitious in your career and have a picture-perfect personal life?
Right. Something to think about, for sure. Or even look back in history, figures like Genghis Khan built this enormous empire, but, through some pretty brutal means. You can't really say he was a nice guy, but he was certainly ambitious.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with his effectiveness, but at what cost, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. There's always a cost, right? It's not always world domination or whatever, but there's always something. It's just, is it worth it? Is it worth the sacrifice?
So we started with this fictional character, Tom Smith, about to divorce his wife, and we've gone from this small moment in a novel to thinking about Steve Jobs, Genghis Khan, and the nature of ambition itself. Pretty wild, right?
It is. That's what's so cool about diving into these little details. It's they unlock these bigger questions, these things we can all relate to, no matter who we are. So as you keep reading The Ambitious Tom Smith, I want to leave you with this question. Imagine yourself in Tom's shoes, okay? Knowing what we've talked about, the ambition, the potential costs, the relationships, would you make the same decision he did? Something to think about.
Definitely something to think about. So much to unpack in just a few lines.
Exactly, the power of literature.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And until next time, keep thinking, keep exploring.
Happy reading.